Are you ready to retire in 5 years? What about 10 or 15? Well, maybe you're still in your 40s or 50s. Wouldn't that be awesome? What we're going to talk about in this video today is our plan to retire in 5 years when we turn 55. Stick around because we're going to share how you can do the same. See you back here in about 6 seconds. All right, everybody, welcome back to the House of Fi. I am Wendy and I'm one half of the House of Fi podcast. We are glad you are here. We're here to help moms and dads budget better, save more money, and dump debt, all while living a joy-filled life. And you know what makes me happy? Dreaming of sitting on the beach. Now that part might not ever happen, but we certainly will have options in about 5 years. We found the financial independence community about 3 years ago when both my husband and I were 46 years old. We were in $1 million worth of debt, and since that time we've reduced that debt by $650,000. We got rid of all of our consumer debt. All that's left is our student loans. We slashed our budget, we fixed our budget, and we have now increased our savings rate to 29%. And the steps that I'm going to show you today is how we plan to retire in 5 years, even though we started in such a late place in life, as well as having this huge obstacle of debt. This video is for you if you're also in your 20s, 30s, and even in your 40s or 50s. This video is for everyone because this will benefit everyone, even if your plan is not a short time like ours. So let's just jump right in. This plan involves 5 R's. Step 1 of these 5 steps to retire is to reflect. Really get a grasp on what it is that you want your retirement to look like. Are you looking at a full retirement? Are you looking at a retirement where maybe you're just going to do maybe a part-time career on the side? Do you want to travel? Do you want to live in another country? You want to really understand where you think you will be when you retire because your expenses are going to flow from that. So really reflect on what it is that you want, what it is that you want your retirement to look like, and get a good picture of that before you even dive into the rest of the formula. The second part of the formula is to review where you are. And I know that sometimes this can be difficult, especially if you're concerned about your finances, you're concerned about how much debt you have, and you feel like it's an insurmountable goal to get to where you want to be because of where you are. But this part of the exercise is essential because you can't know how far you are from your destination unless you know where you are. It's just like a map. So the second part of this is to review. We've got other videos that that you can watch, and we'll link those up above so that you can go through the process that we suggest for doing that. Once you know where you are and you know where you want to go, the next part of the puzzle is to research. Say, for instance, you believe that you're going to be retiring in another state, that the current state you're in is not retirement friendly. So maybe they have a high tax rate or something like that, and maybe you want to move to a state that has 0 income tax. Well, you want to research that. You want to find out if those savings are offset by other costs like property taxes. So you want to research what you believe your expenses are going to be. Now, these aren't going to be exact numbers, but it will give you a good ballpark. Same thing for if you want to move out of the country and be an expat, or if maybe you want to travel the country in an RV. You need to get a good idea of what your expected expenses are going to be. The fourth part of the equation is to reverse engineer. So now you know what you're going to need. You need to figure out how you're going to supply those monthly expenses. How are your expenses going to be paid for? And that brings us to the fifth part of the equation, which is retirement income. So now that you know where you need to go and what you're going to need to cover your expenses in retirement, you need to think of the ways that you're going to cover those expenses. expenses? Do you have retirement accounts? Do you have an idea of how much those retirement accounts are going to give you, or if they're going to last? Do you have real estate investment income? Do you have other sorts of income like a pension? Some of the other more common ones are things like business income, inheritances, Social Security, and a few other more uncommon things like royalties. This part goes back to reverse engineering. Now you need to figure out how much money you need to save to cover those expenses. Now the formula that I'm going to share with you in just a moment is based upon the Trinity study. And what that study was, its objective was to figure out how much money one would need to save to be able to carry them into retirement until the end of life. And so what they found with a 95% success rate, meaning that 95% of the time it was successful, is if you times your monthly living expenses, so your expected monthly living expenses at retirement, by 25, that will give you the amount that you need to save so that you have enough to live on in perpetuity. Once you have that amount, you can withdraw up to 4% of that balance at retirement and have that money last for the rest of your life. Now, perhaps you're thinking, oh my goodness, that is a huge number. And I'll just share with you that it is not necessarily as big as you think it's going to be, number one, or two, that it's as difficult to save as you think. The point is to start saving now that you have an awareness of what you're going to need to live on in retirement. You can start building your retirement accounts in order to get to where you need to be. But there are some things that will help you expedite that ability and reduce the amount that you will need in your investment accounts when you retire. And that is where we get to the part of our strategy and how we are going to supercharge our retirement and get us to retirement in 5 years. So we are saving for retirement. We have about a 29% savings rate, and that is going into my husband's retirement plans through his employer. We are just putting money in there, we're forgetting about it, and we're letting it grow. And in fact, our retirement accounts do not even figure into our calculations for how much we are going to have when we retire just to keep us through retirement. But we do have a number of what we believe that we'll be able to live on. When we retire, 4 of our children will still be with us, and so we believe that we can live on $7,000 a month. Our retirement accounts greatly fall short for providing for that. So when we were picturing this life that we wanted for ourselves, we had to think of, well, how can we bridge that gap? And in deciding what was best for our family, the vehicle that we chose to supercharge our retirement plan was real estate investments. We have since purchased 4 rental properties that provide us a positive cash flow of $1,000 a month. We will have those at retirement, and they will continue to give us that amount of rent or more. And so once we figure that into the equation, we have a $6,000 a month gap that we need to fill. Now, we do have an additional source of income that will be in place when we retire, and that takes another $2,400 off of our total. The third part of our calculation involves my husband's pension. We're very fortunate that not only does he have the ability as a teacher to contribute to his retirement accounts, he also will receive a pension when he serves a certain period of time and turns 55. So that's another reason why our retirement age is 55, because we're holding out until my husband can receive that retirement. We have calculated based upon the calculators at his school's website that amount will be $1,300. So add that in with the $2,400 from our other income that we have coming in, the $1,000 a month in rental income, plus the a shortfall of $2,300 a month in living expenses that we need to cover during retirement. Now, hopefully our investment accounts will be enough to cover that, but we're still not planning on withdrawing from those. Our plan is to acquire more rental properties and or increase my business income. So with a combination of those two things in the next 5 years, our plan is to gain more real estate so that we have additional cash flow to bridge that $2,300 gap, as well as my business income that will hopefully exceed that amount. And that's so important to us to want to create generational wealth. We want to provide a legacy for our children. We don't want them struggling as far as debt goes and that sort of thing. So there you have it. Those are the 5 R's for you to create a plan for yourself to retire early, maybe in 5 years, maybe in 10, maybe in 15. I'm excited to see what you have come up with, and I would love to know your plan. And if you have any questions, please let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe.